Exhaust manifold cover, that's the top. Roller A, piston and conrod. Oh dear, piston and conrod. That means I need to strip the engine down and get right down to the crankshaft, pull it out. So some's got to come off, oil comes out, so oil filters anyway. Okay, let's pop that up straight in the engine, rip this off straight away. Turbo comes off. Should be worth a couple of dollars, this one, because it's a fair amount of work. Exhaust manifold's coming off at the moment. For those that don't know, a turbocharger is in fact a gas-driven turbine, and that goes through and drives a compressor. It's in fact a supercharger, but because of the exhaust gases it's called a turbocharger. The turbine being the actual driving force for the compressor. A supercharger is in fact in its own right is in fact an engine-driven compressor. So that draws air in, compresses it, and sends it through to the manifold as well. So they both do the same things, it's just a matter of where the energy comes from. So a turbocharger draws on the exhaust gases to drive the turbine, which drives the compressor. A supercharger works off engine belts or engine power to draw the power to drive the compressors to compress the air. Pretty much the same kind of thing. They do make distinct sounds, they're very good. For those that are aware of the Mad Max movies or Road Warrior in the United States, Mad Max was a supercharger. Reality, they're both superchargers, one's exhaust driven, one's belt driven. If you want to have a listen to the original Mad Max supercharged engine, I've got a link in the description. It's really cool sounding. My background's aviation. I did do an apprenticeship when I was young in motor mechanics. As I said before, I found it wasn't for me. Filthy dirty under vehicles all day for bugger all money. Just not my cup of tea. Don't get me wrong, love vehicles, but it was really not what I wanted to do. At the moment, aviation is what I do. Fuel rails off, rip the spark plugs out. The reason being, I've got to get right down into this engine. Now you notice I haven't dropped the oil out. Normally I would have done that first. In this case it's not going to make any difference. This is a nice clean looking engine. The reality is every bit I've taken so far would be covered in oil and gunk. It'd be pretty messy. One of the things you have to do is to make sure you line this up correctly. As I said before, if you miss, it's $100 out the tube. With only $6,000 throwing away $100 every time you change the oil because you're messy and throwing it on the floor, that's not a good thing. Okay, let's get this pan out. I need the pan out so I can get in and take the conrods off. The conrod is connected to the crankshaft. The crankshaft there, you can come up in a minute. You can see the crankshaft through there. Runs right through, and the piston and conrod, that conrod there is bolted to the top half. So this is the bottom half you can see, and the top half is connected to your piston. We need to get that out, which means back up top. Straight in. I would have unbolted the bottom and I would have taken it out the top. Okay. Anything I can repair here? Unlikely. They're all good. You'll find pistons and things like this you don't get to repair. Okay. Quick check. Exhaust manifolds off. Covers off. Idler roller A's off. piston and conrods out, and filter I'll need to change before I put that back in. Here we go, back into assembly. Get my piston in first. I don't have a spare. All these are different. Just because I go here and buy one, it's not in reality correct. I actually need to buy the correct ones for the correct engine. Their diameters are different, the lengths are different, they need to be the correct one for the engine. Okay, but you can't have everything, and it's the principles that we're really interested in here. Okay. Now, it was telling me what work I need to do. Later on, I'll need to do some examinations on the engine before I can decide what needs to be done. And when you are dealing with the pistons and the conrod, or the crankshaft, the first thing you should always do is straight away drop that oil out, then drop the pan and have a look at the crankshaft and the pistons from below. That will determine how much work you've got to do, and I don't want to give him that. I don't want to give him better than he's got. Call me cheap, but I don't want to spend my money on him. If it was the same, okay, that was fine. Just don't want to give them better than they give me. Okay, ignition coils back on. I only got 4 of them, that's fine. Yeah, if you have any questions about the engines or any of the components, give us a message, let us know, and we'll go through any section that you like. If you want to know how they're working inside, outside, what they're doing, just send us a message and we'll have a chat. Now, what I'm looking for, manifold. i4 turbo, and I'm pretty sure I needed a cover. Okay, crank it back on. Now, I'm not really just cranking this back onto the engine head there. There are gaskets that go between and need to go on. Without those, we're going to have noise and air leaking through and stuff. So the gasket's just a seal. Okay. Turbocharger back on. I should have done that first, but that's just the way it is. I've got to do it before I put the cover on. Okay, so the exhaust was coming out through the turbocharger. That's driving a turbine, spinning around. Then the exhaust goes out through the exhaust pipe. I don't know where it goes. There's a compressor. The compressor's compressing the air, and you'll find that's being fed across back into the manifold over here. I'll put that back on in a second. Here's our intake manifold. Okay, so what it's doing, it's compressing outside air to a greater density, puts it in there, and fuel has to be mixed to the correct ratio, and it's as per mass, which is weight. So the more air I can put in, the more fuel I can put in, the more energy I can extract from that fuel. Sounds simple to me, but you know, these things take time to learn. So, same as an aircraft, it's all based on how much air can I get going through the system. I can dump in more fuel, I get more chemical reaction, which gives me more energy. I'm limited by heat, and I'm limited by pressure. If I exceed the pressure of the engine, I'll blow an engine. If I exceed the temperature, then things will start to seize or melt. It's basically temperature and pressure are the limitations on all engines. The reason they get better engines these days than what they had in the old days is purely technology. If I can improve the standards of the materials, the quality of the materials, the production processes, I can then start to increase the pressure it can handle, which means I can then increase and the temperatures, that is, and then I can increase the amount of fuel. All goes, there I go, straight down the line. More fuel with more air means more work done. confused? Yeah, sorry about that. Idle roller A. Straight into engine. Normally like to keep some of these floating around as well. Let's get the one now. Idler A's and idler B's aren't generally repairable. Belt tensioners sometimes is. The belts aren't. You just find if they're gone, you have to put a new one on. Okay, what do we got intact? Throttle's back on, manifold's back on, fuel filter's there. There's no changes required for the air filter. That's all repaired. Everything should be back. I didn't take the starter motor off. I have dropped the oil, which means I will have to come back up here and put oil in. I can't do that yet because the sump's off. So, the last thing you should do is get in there. I'll get that filter off first. The last thing you should do is always replace the pan and the filter. If you're working anywhere near the gearbox, then make sure the starter motor's put back on. Do I have a spare? No, oil filter I4. Okay, drop it down. In. Oil filler. And this is about 25 to 30. You can tell when we're around 20 it will stop flowing. And 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Let's have a look. Back in, down we go. Find the dipstick, there it is, and that's good enough. Okay. I'm pretty sure everything is done there. And that was a bit cheap. There was nothing I could repair. I did check that, I'm pretty sure. Yep, so all that stuff I've got is rubbish. Okay, so that's it. We'll see you in the next episode, and I hope you enjoyed. See you later.